The jungle was alive with danger. Every plant looked like it could slice skin or poison blood. The air was thick, heavy, filled with sounds that didn't belong to any earth animal. Sergeant Daxon Reed moved carefully, boots sinking into the fight. Mossy ground, rifle ready, eyes scanning. Earth Command had sent him to scout this death world. Classified X-77, and he already hated everything about it. He was alone. The dropship crash had separated him from the rest of his unit. The comms were silent, and the emergency beacon barely blinked. But Daxon was trained for this. He had fought on lava moons and ice planets. He had killed beasts that wore the bones of their enemies like armor. But this jungle, it was different. It felt like it was watching him. He passed a tree that looked like it bled when scratched. Vines moved like snakes when he got too close. Something screamed far off. Not in pain, but in challenge. Daxon kept going. The target was simple. Reach the alien ruins ahead and find any tech Earth Command could use before the next wave arrived. Then something moved through the fog. Fast. Low, like a shadow sprinting just out of reach. He raised his rifle and aimed. Nothing appeared. Just the sound of dripping sap and buzzing insects. He kept moving. Senses sharp, sweat running down his spine. That's when he saw her. She stood on a large, twisted root. Claws out, glowing cyan eyes staring directly at him. Her red hair moved like fire in the wind. Long and wild. She was armored in strange metal, dark and sharp-edged, fitted to her slim but deadly frame. Her cat-like ears twitched once, then stilled, her lips parted, and Daxon saw her fangs. She said nothing. She didn't need to. Her stare said everything. This was her territory, and he was an intruder. Daxon didn't lower his rifle, but he didn't shoot either. She wasn't just another creature of this world. She was thinking, calculating, just like him. What are you? He muttered, not expecting an answer. She tilted her head slightly, like a predator curious about its prey. Then she moved. 1 second she was on the route. The next she was right in front of him. Daxon had fought fast enemies before, but nothing like this. Her movement blurred like wind through smoke. He dodged. Barely. Her claw missed his face by inches. He spun, slamming the butt of his rifle into her side. She staggered, then grinned, not angry, excited. This wasn't a fight to the death. Not yet. This was a test. Daxon realized something then. She wasn't just defending territory. She was hunting. And he was the only thing interesting enough on this planet to be worth her time. She leapt again. Claws extended. He rolled, fired a short burst. The rounds hit a tree behind her. Exploding bark and sap everywhere. She was already gone. Vanished into the trees again. Damn it, he muttered, standing slowly. He wasn't afraid. He was curious now. What kind of creature moves like that and doesn't finish the kill? What does she want? Then she spoke. You are not weak, she said in perfect, though accented, English. Her voice was deep and sharp like blades scraping stone. Earthman, you fight like fire, wild, dangerous, not afraid to burn everything down. Daxon raised an eyebrow. And you fight like a ghost. Pretty impressive for a monster. She stepped out from the trees again, this time with hands open. I am not monster. I am Valari, daughter of the Crimson Claw. My people are born on Deathworlds too. You think Earth is cruel? Our suns fight each other in the sky. Our rain can melt bone. Our nights belong to creatures with 1,000 eyes. Daxon laughed once, short and dry. Sounds like a vacation spot. She didn't laugh, but she smiled. And in that smile, Daxon saw something strange. Respect. Why are you here? she asked, moving closer, no longer threatening, just ... Curious. Earth Command wants tech from the ruins, he said, lowering his weapon slowly. They think there's something buried here that can change the war. Valari nodded. The core of ruin. Energy so strong it can tear stars apart. My people protect it. Your people want it. We were bound to meet. Then I guess this isn't over. Daxon said. No. She replied. This is only the beginning. The wind moved through the trees like whispers of dead soldiers. Above them, the sky growled with distant thunder. The Deathworld was listening, waiting to see what these two would do next. Neither of them stepped back, neither blinked. The soldier and the huntress stood inches apart. Warriors from two killer worlds, breathing the same poisoned air, staring into each other's eyes. And for the first time in both their lives, they weren't sure which one of them was the real danger. Daxon didn't lower his guard, even though she hadn't attacked again. The forest still watched them both like a living thing. Birds didn't sing here. And there was no wind, just silence, heavy and waiting. He could feel the tension between them, as if something had snapped. But nothing had broken yet. Valari circled him slowly, her glowing eyes never blinking. Her movements were smooth, almost like water flowing around a stone. Daxon turned with her, every muscle ready to explode if needed. He had fought monsters before, but she was different. She wasn't just powerful, she was smart. You smell like smoke and metal, she said finally. Your kind burns their enemies to ash and builds machines out of the bones. Better than licking wounds and hiding in trees. Daxon replied without flinching. He didn't care if she was fast or beautiful. He'd seen beautiful things kill before. Valari smiled again. Just slightly. You are sharp with words as well as blade. I like that, he frowned. Why are you even talking to me? If I were you, I'd kill me and move on. Because you didn't shoot when you had the chance, she said. You showed strength, but not cruelty. That is rare on a death world. Daxon looked at her armor, her claws, her fangs. You sure about that? You look like cruelty wrapped in fire. Looks deceive, she said. So do weapons. They stood in silence again. Then something moved above them. A huge insect with wings like metal blades buzzed through the trees. It was the size of a bear and twice as fast. Valari didn't hesitate. She leapt upward in a single bound and sliced the beast mid with one sharp motion. It crashed down, twitching, its head rolling off into the undergrowth. She landed on her feet without a sound. Daxon raised both eyebrows. Not bad, Valari. Wiped blood from her claws and stared at him. That was nothing. There are worse things deeper in the jungle. Things even I don't face alone. Then maybe we don't go deeper. He said. We must. She replied. The core of ruin is near. I will guide you. Not because I trust you, but because the world itself is moving. And when death worlds shift, other worlds bleed. He didn't fully understand, but he followed her anyway. There was something in her voice. Something heavy. She knew this place better than anyone. If even she was uneasy, he had every reason to listen. As they moved, Valari showed him hidden paths, roots that snapped like traps, flowers that released gas if touched wrong. She moved with instinct, like the forest had trained her since birth. Daxon followed her steps exactly, memorizing every motion. At one point, a vine snapped out from a tree, aiming for Daxon's leg. Valari turned and sliced it mid-swing without even looking. Her ears twitched as if she heard everything, even the forest's thoughts. Thanks, he said simply. You are slow, she said. But you learn. You will last longer than most. He wasn't sure if that was praise or an insult. He took it as both. They reached a clearing with ancient stone ruins half swallowed by roots and moss. At the center stood a black spire, cracked but pulsing with light from deep inside. It was like a heartbeat made of fire. The core, Valari whispered, buried. Inside, kept cold and asleep. If awoken, it will call to things beyond the stars. Earth Command wants to use it. Daxon said, they think it could end the war back home. Then Earth Command is foolish. Valari replied, this is not a weapon, it is a curse. A scream in the dark that other monsters will hear. Daxon stepped closer, examining the spire. His visor showed radiation levels, strange energy spikes, signals bouncing like echoes. Through time, it wasn't just old, it was alive. Suddenly, the ground shook. A deep roar rolled through the trees, louder than thunder, making the stone beneath their feet tremble. Valari's face darkened. It has awoken. The spire felt your presence. It thinks you are an enemy. It has called one of its guardians. Before Daxon could reply, trees exploded outward. A massive creature stepped into the clearing, its skin black as oil and eyes glowing blue. It had no mouth, only rows of shifting tendrils and blades for arms. The air burned around it. Daxon raised his rifle. Valari lowered herself into a crouch. Claws ready. They didn't speak, because now the real test had begun. The core had awakened, and it wanted blood. The Guardian moved like thunder with legs. Each step shook the broken ground beneath them. Its black armor didn't shine, it absorbed light. The thing looked like it was built from shadows and screaming metal. Daxon had seen tanks melt before, but this thing looked like it could eat them. Valari didn't wait. She dashed toward the creature, claws flashing, moving faster than his eyes could track. She was fire against the void, slashing low at its joints. Sparks flew, but the beast didn't bleed. It roared like steel bending in a furnace, and struck back with a bladed arm. She dodged by inches and rolled away as the blade cracked the earth where she had stood. Daxon fired a full magazine into its upper body. The bullets hit, but they sank in like pebbles into mud. The thing kept coming, its absorbing impact. He shouted, its armor is not of this world. Valari yelled back, we must break what is not armor. Look for its pulse. Daxon moved fast, circling to its side. He scanned the beast for energy points, anything glowing. There beneath its chest plates, a pulsing blue line moved like a vein. He aimed carefully and fired an armor-piercing round. The shot hit true. The creature howled, a sound like metal crying. It staggered back just for a moment, and then turned fully toward him. Valari used the distraction. She leapt high, landing on its back, claws digging into its shell. With a savage cry, she drove her fingers deep between the plates, tearing something inside. The monster thrashed violently, but she held on. Now! She screamed. Daxon pulled out his last grenade, activated the charge, and sprinted toward the thing's exposed chest. He slammed it in and dove away. The explosion was sharp and focused, blasting a hole through the monster's core. The Guardian collapsed, shaking the jungle with its fall. Its body twitched, then stilled. Blue light oozed from the wound and faded. Valari dropped beside Daxon, breathing hard. Her armor was scorched, one shoulder bleeding, but her eyes still burned bright. You fight like a death god, she said, smiling through the pain. I did not think you would last this long. I didn't either, Daxon admitted, coughing. But thanks for the backup. She stood slowly, eyes on the dark spire behind them. This was the first. There will be more. The core doesn't sleep for long once it senses strength. It wakes its guards, it tests, and it remembers. Daxon looked at the ruined creature and then at the glowing spire. Your people couldn't destroy it? No. Velari said. We sealed it, fed it false signals of peace and silence. But now you are here, and Earth Command will come. The core will see war again. He wiped sweat from his brow. We came here thinking we'd find a weapon. We didn't realize we'd be waking up a planet. Velari nodded. It is not just this planet. It's what lies beneath. A network of ruin stretching across the stars. Deathworlds like mine are built on bones. Some things were buried for a reason. Daxon sat on a stone and looked up at the green-tinted sky. Then maybe the real danger isn't the monster we just killed. Maybe it's the people who think they can control this. You learn fast. Velari said quietly. That is good. You will need to learn faster still. Suddenly a crackling sound came from his comms. Static, then a voice. Reed, do you copy? This is command. We have your beacon. ETA 10 minutes. He looked at Velari. Her face turned cold again. Your kind is coming, she said. More ships, more guns, more pride. Do you think they will listen to warnings? No, Daxon said honestly. They'll think I found something powerful and try to take it. Velari stepped back, her claws slowly retracting. Then we are out of time. I will disappear now. My people are watching. If your kind opens the core, we will strike first, and we will not hold back. I don't want that, he said, standing. I didn't come here to start a war. I just followed orders. Then maybe it's time to break them, she said. The wind picked up again, rustling the leaves like whispers from the grave. Velari turned and vanished into the trees, her steps silent. Daxon watched the forest close behind her, like it swallowed her whole. He didn't try to follow. He just stood there, rifle in hand, heart pounding. As the sky above began to rumble, the dropship would be here soon. Command would land and demand answers. But he wasn't sure anymore what answers he could give. He had come to this world thinking he was the threat. Now he wasn't so sure. The dropship landed hard, kicking up dirt and ash. Its engines screamed, scaring away the strange birds that had started circling above the spire. Daxon stood back as the ramp dropped and two armored officers rushed out. Weapons raised, eyes scanning for threats. Sergeant Reed, one of them barked. We picked up your signal and energy readings off the charts. What the hell did you find out here? Daxon didn't answer right away. He looked at the black spire again, still pulsing gently like a sleeping heart. He thought of Velari's words, her warning, and the way the jungle had watched them both. I found something dangerous, he said at last. And it's not what you think. The second officer stepped forward, visor scanning. These ruins match none of our records. Alien architecture, ancient tech, heavy radiation. It's a jackpot. Good work. Reed, it's not a jackpot, Daxon said sharply. It's a trap. The spire is alive. It wakes up when it senses aggression or strength. It already called a guardian. We barely survived it. The first officer laughed. You fought a creature and lived? Good story, Sergeant. But we've got bigger toys now. Let the scientists crack the tech. We'll deal with anything that crawls out. Daxon clenched his jaw. You don't understand. This thing isn't just protecting something. It's testing us. And the more we push, the more it'll push back. They ignored him. Within minutes, more ships arrived. Soldiers poured into the jungle, setting up perimeter lights and scanning towers. Scientists in white suits ran cables toward the spire, measuring energy levels. and marking everything. Daxon walked away from the noise, toward the edge of the ruins. He felt the ground under his boots, and it felt wrong, like something was shifting beneath the surface. That night, they camped near the spire. Lights filled the ruins, glowing bright against the dark trees. The jungle stayed quiet, but too quiet. No sounds, no movement, just silence-like. Held breath, Daxon sat alone, cleaning his rifle. When he felt the cold prick of eyes watching him, he turned slowly and saw her. Valari stood in the shadows, her red hair like fire in the night. She hadn't come to fight. Her claws were retracted, her stance calm, but her eyes were hard. "They came as you said," she whispered. "They didn't listen." "As I feared," he replied. She stepped closer, staying just beyond the light. "You warned them. Now the core watches. It knows Earth's scent. It will not be silent for long." Daxon stared at the camp. Soldiers laughed by the fire. Scientists argued over readings. Officers gave orders. With cold confidence, they looked so sure of themselves. "Can it be stopped?" he asked her. "No," Valari said, "but it can be sealed again if no blood is spilled too close to it. But that will not happen. Your people carry war in their breath. They do not know peace." "You're not wrong," he admitted. She looked at him, then softer. "But you hesitate. You think before you strike. You could leave now. Warn your people somewhere else. You don't belong in this fire." Daxon shook his head. "I can't run. If there's a way to stop this, I need to be here, even if no one listens." "I'll try," Valari tilted her head. "Then I will help you for one last time. I will show you the truth buried under the ruins. But you must come now, before the core fully wakes." He nodded without hesitation. He followed her into the dark once more, away from the lights, away from the noise. The trees welcomed her, and they tolerated him. She led him down a narrow path hidden by stone and roots. It twisted underground, into a tunnel of old alien metal, scarred and humming with energy. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, pulsing like a warning heartbeat. "At the end of this corridor," she said, "is the first gate. It holds the memory of the core, what it did before, and what it will do again if freed. Few have seen it and returned." "Are you sure?" "Yes," Daxon answered. "I need to see for myself. I need to know what they're waking up." They reached the gate. It was a wall of black glass, alive with images moving inside. Daxon stared, and what he saw chilled him to the bone. Worlds burning, stars cracking like eggs, beasts with no name, crawling across galaxies, feeding on suns in silence. And in the center of it all, the core unchanging, watching. "It doesn't want to help," Daxon whispered. "It wants to test, destroy, evolve through war. It feeds on struggle." Valari nodded. "It is not evil, but it is beyond good. It sees strength as truth and weak as failure. That is its law. That is its hunger." Daxon stepped back, heart racing. He now knew the truth, and he knew no one at camp would believe him. But that didn't matter anymore, because he had seen what was coming, and it was worse than war. Daxon climbed out of the tunnel with Valari close behind. The stars above the jungle seemed dimmer now, like they were being swallowed by a slow-moving shadow. In the distance, he saw the camp lights flickering, but something about them looked wrong. The air was heavier, the silence deeper. "They started," Valari said, her voice low. "The core feels it. They touched what they should not." Daxon moved faster through the trees, boots quiet against the moss. He could already hear distant shouting. The first scream reached his ears like a blade across glass. When he broke through the underbrush, the camp was chaos. One of the scanning towers had collapsed, crushed by something massive. A vehicle burned in the center of the camp. Black smoke rising into the poisoned air. Soldiers were firing in all directions, but they weren't hitting anything. "What the hell?" Daxon muttered, ducking behind a fallen crate. From the dark came shapes, not like the first Guardian, but smaller, faster, made of shift-in plates and screeching light. Dozens of them, crawling on walls, leaping through the trees. They didn't bleed when hit, they just reformed. Valari appeared beside him like a ghost. "Scoutlings. The Corps sends them first. Not to kill, but to measure, to see what your kind does when afraid." Daxon fired at a creature crawling toward a wounded soldier. His bullet knocked it down. But the pieces pulled themselves back together. "They don't stop," he growled. "No," she said, "but we can hold them long enough to reach your command tent. You must speak to the one who leads this. If they keep attacking, the Corps will send worse." Daxon nodded and moved low through the wreckage. The camp was falling apart fast. Fires lit the night, and smoke choked the sky. He passed a medic station where the wounded screamed for help, but no one came. He reached the command tent where Colonel Hasker barked orders into his headset, his armor dented and covered in ash. "Colonel," Daxon shouted, "call it off. Stop the scans, the drilling, everything. We're waking it up." Hasker turned, furious. "Reed, I don't have time for your jungle fever. Half my team is dead already. These creatures attacked first. We're defending." "No," Daxon shouted back. "They're responding to your presence. You activated the Corps. The more you fight, the stronger it gets." Hasker's face hardened. "You sound like the scientists, talking about machines that think and planets that feel. This is war. Sergeant, we win by holding ground, not running from ghost stories." Valari stepped inside the tent, her presence like a cold wind. Her glowing eyes locked onto Hasker. He raised his rifle instantly. "She is with me," Daxon said quickly. "She saved my life more than once, and she knows the Corps better than any of us." Hasker didn't lower his weapon. "Alien intel? That's your plan? You brought one of them into our tent?" "She's not one of them," Daxon snapped. "She's trying to stop what's coming, what you're making worse by the second." Valari spoke then. "You think yourself the strongest because you wear metal and bark orders. But strength is not volume, it is choice. The Corps listens only to strength that chooses restraint. You fail that test." "Earthman," Hasker's hand shook. He looked around at the monitors, all flashing red, warnings blaring. Outside, the sounds of death grew louder. "We're not leaving," he said, voice quiet but firm. "We've lost too many. I won't retreat from a damn rock." "You're not retreating," Daxon said. "You're surviving. If we leave now, we might stop this from turning into a war Earth can't win." A huge crash shook the camp. One of the larger dropships exploded, flames rising into the air. Daxon didn't wait. He grabbed the colonel by the vest and shoved him out of the tent. Just as part of the roof collapsed, the command tent burned behind them. Valari stood still, her claws out, scanning the tree line. From the shadows came something new. It was tall, humanoid, but its body glowed like molten glass. Its face was smooth, blank, with no mouth or eyes, only a swirling storm beneath the surface. Valari's voice dropped. "A judge. The Corps has seen enough. It has sent judgment." The judge stepped forward, its very footsteps causing the ground to crack and sink. Its voice rang out in every mind. Not spoken, but felt like a thought too large to carry. Measure. Complete. Strength insufficient. Evolution denied. Daxon's blood turned cold. The core had decided they failed its test. Valari stepped forward, body tense. There is still time to show mercy, but only if you choose it now. Hasker stood frozen, his gun limp in his hands. The entire camp fell silent, waiting. All it would take now was one wrong move, and the core would end them all. Daxon stepped in front of Valari. Without thinking, the judge towered above him. Light swirling inside its clear body like a galaxy in fire. He felt its mind pressing against his own, not words, not language, but weight. The weight of something that had watched civilizations rise and fall without emotion. Behind him, soldiers. Pointed rifles, their hands shaking. The remaining officers shouted into broken radios. None of it mattered. The core wasn't watching the camp anymore. It was watching one man and one alien standing side by side. Put your weapons down, Daxon said, his voice sharp. All of you, don't shoot, don't speak, don't move. Hasker stared at him. You're insane. That thing is about to wipe us out. It hasn't yet. Daxon cut him off, because it's still deciding. This isn't war to it, it's a test. We keep failing because all we do is fight. Let me try something different. He turned back to the judge, raised his rifle, and dropped it on the ground. The silence that followed was like the jungle holding its breath. Valari stepped beside him, her claws folding back into her armored wrists. She lowered her head slightly, a gesture of respect of surrender, but not weakness, just understanding. The judge tilted its head slowly. The swirling energy inside its chest grew dimmer, calmer. The ground under their feet stopped cracking. In every mind around them, the core spoke again, not in threat, but in recognition. One chooses stillness over fire. One resists destruction. This is strength. The light inside the judge pulsed once, then began to fade. Its massive form slowly turned, step by step, walking back toward the jungle. Each footstep left no mark. It disappeared into the trees like it had never been there. The remaining scoutlings vanished with it, melting into ash and drifting into the sky. For a long time, no one said anything. Soldiers slowly lowered their weapons. Hasker fell to his knees, eyes wide, still not believing what he saw. You did it, he whispered. You made it stop. No, Daxon said, looking toward the forest. We didn't win. We were allowed to walk away. That's not the same thing. Valari looked at the broken spire in the center of the ruins. Its light had gone dim again. Quiet but not asleep. The core has returned to silence, but only for now. It is a watcher of war. When war returns, so will it. Hasker stood slowly. Then we destroy the spire, blow it to dust and bury the pieces. You still don't understand. Valari said coldly. This is only one spire. The core is older than stars. It has many faces across many worlds. This place is only a mirror. If you smash it, it will reflect elsewhere. Daxon nodded. We can't fight it, but we can respect it, and maybe that's enough. For the next day, the survivors packed up the camp. No more drilling, no more scanning. No more orders barked over static. Hasker gave no speech. He just stood and watched as everything they had built was taken down and burned. Valari waited at the edge of the jungle, arms folded, her face unreadable. When Daxon approached, she looked at him quietly. You changed something, she said. I don't know what yet, but something shifted. The core will remember you, and so will I. You gonna disappear into the trees again? He asked. She gave a small smile. My kind does not stay where we are not welcome. But if your kind ever calls for help instead of war, maybe we'll answer." He held out his hand. She stared at it for a moment, then took it firmly. "You are not like the others," she said. "Maybe one day, your people will be ready to follow someone like you. Until then, stay alive. That will be enough." She turned and walked back into the jungle, her figure swallowed by the shadows and green light. She did not look back. Daxon stood alone for a moment, listening to the quiet. No screams, no gunfire, no engines roaring. Just wind, and the gentle hum of a world watching but not judging. Later, when Earth Command asked for a report, he told them the truth, but not all of it. He said they found ancient ruins, suffered a serious attack, and left for safety. The core was never mentioned by name. Neither was Valari. Because some truths weren't meant for files and reports. Some truths had to live only in the memories of those who survived them. And Daxon knew this truth better than anyone now. Sometimes, the most dangerous thing in the galaxy wasn't the monster in front of you, it was the moment you decided not to become one yourself.